Very often an entanglement looks like a relationship on the surface, but the key is what it feels like to the participants. Now, in an entanglement, you may love each other. You may spend a lot of time together. You know each other's friends and family. People will probably think of you as a couple, but you're not having a real relationship.
I got into a different kind of entanglement with August.
Truly and really, really deeply loved and have a ton of love for her.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Talking to you guys about Jada and Will again, but we're going to talk about entanglement. What is entanglement? Because that's what the entangle meant. What does it meant? Hey, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads, baby. And for those of you returnees, you got the minerals, you got the minerals. Listen, I don't want none of you to join the mineral gang unless you know that you got the willingness to show courage in the face of a storm. If you're somebody who's an overcomer, if you're someone who's got the power, if you're someone who's got the courage and the bravery, then join Mineral Gang. You understand? Then join Mineral Gang. But the rest of y'all,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's get into it. Talk about entanglement. I watched a video by Anyala. Someone sent me a link to that. I've forgotten the person's name. I do appreciate you for sending me a link to that. Good shout out. I'll probably find your name later. And so, Anyala actually spoke about entanglement. I didn't even realize entanglement was a relationship thing. Okay, I didn't know they had a technical name for it. And since they got a technical name for it, this is why I said that Jada needs to come on the red table again and describe what she meant. Because the entanglement is deep, yo. It's deep. It's deep. In fact, you can watch a little clip here of what Anyala says about entanglement. But the whole point is that, you know, an entanglement looks like a relationship, but its key thing is about what you feel. What you feel. It may feel like a relationship, but it lacks the mutual agreements. Now, this sounds like a situationship. You know, this sounds like a situationship, but it goes much deeper than that. There are codependencies, and codependency here is just talking about...
In the process of that relationship, I definitely realized that you can't find happiness outside of yourself.
About the fact that someone seeks to use someone else as their self-esteem, okay? Where you blur the lines between your boundaries and theirs. Like you become completely intertwined into their business, trying to help that person. You see that person in, you see that person as a helpless person, and you want to be able to be the one that helps them even when they haven't asked for help, even when they don't want to help themselves.
Helped me and like literally broke down about it. I was like, that was really a reality check for me, because I was like, wow, if someone else can love you that much that it hurts them, why doesn't it bother you that you're actually hurting yourself?
Right? And so we're talking about, you know, entanglement here. And so it says, not having a relationship categorized by love and by harm is what Ayana says. And asking the question, what is the reason for the connection? And there's an absence of clear agreement and repetition of violation of love, loyalty, support, and safety, and is grounded in codependency in this situation. So when Jada came on to say, obviously, she was an entanglement, she meant she was an entanglement. So actually, Will's correction of her, this is not an entanglement, but it's a relationship, was incorrect. But here's the thing, if she knew the real definition of entanglement, she had to come and explain what the truest definition of entanglement meant. Now, she explained codependency, the fact that she was a codependent.
Just that idea of needing to fix and being drawn to people that need help, whether it's your health or whether it's your addictions.
It would have been really helpful for her to explain what codependency is and what entanglement is, because it sounded like really good language and jargon to get away from the actual issue, which is, yo, sis, you went after a young ass kid who was vulnerable, and the fact that you was a power dynamic, the fact that you were playing his mom kind of role and he was playing your son kind of role, and the fact that you had sex together and been having having a relationship, or we can call it an entanglement, for how long? Sis, this is really deep. Come and explain what was happening. Because in this situation, when someone's a codependent, the other person also is not out of the loop. In fact, August Alsina is a victim almost. Almost I would call it a victim because he had to get out of the loop. A codependent person draws someone into their loop of sphere, and sometimes that person that they're drawing in is someone who's got an addiction.
Endless supply of perks. I was literally raining pills like Skittles, for real. Yeah.
And he said, I'm not addicted. He said, I'm not an addict.
So when we see, obviously, that, you know, Jada is entangled with August Alsina, he had to actually unravel himself from being a codependent within a relationship. I want to explain codependency in another video as well.
Walking away from it butchered me. Like I'm shaking right now because it almost killed me.
We'll deal with that. But the true definition of entanglement here we're talking about is that someone who is involved in a relationship which doesn't involve mutual agreements. There is a level of abuse that actually happens because the person is fixated on trying to get their needs met, but not mutually exclusive. You know, it's like, and the person is not whole in a sense of the fact that they are merging themselves with other individuals, but not two becoming one. They're becoming halves coming into each other.
In a healthy, loving relationship, neither person needs the other person to be or feel complete. Both people are self-awake, self-aware, self-reflective, self-referencing, and becoming more and more self-actualized.
Right? And so the person in an entanglement is seeking to get their needs met, whilst maybe potentially, or sorry, actually even saying meeting the needs of the other person whilst neglecting their own. That's what I should say. So the person could be meeting other persons. So she could be meeting August Alsina's needs whilst neglecting her own and not allowing the person also to meet hers, because I was like, again, it's codependency. And so long as he was in the place of being an addict, she was feeling good about it. That's why I said, it's been a long time since I felt good. And then she says, obviously, you know, it felt good to help somebody. And she realized she was a codependent. That codependent always seeks for somebody to help. They want to be able to be in a place of, I call it savior complex, where they can save the individual person, where they feel like the other person can't help themselves and they have to do it. They have to help them. They have to be the one that saves them. They have to be the one that is their God, yeah? And actually, it's funny because when August Alsina talks, how he talks, it's as if that person is their God. When you say, like, I'm happy to even die for them, that's almost like the God-like status. That's the worship. That's the kind of, you know, as Christians, we say that the man should be like Christ loved the church. And what did Christ do? He died for the church. There is no greater sacrifice than for one, no greater sacrifice of love than for one to lay his life down for his brethren. So it's the same thing here. It's like he got so wrapped up in this dependency, in this and the way he described it, it was odd because they said they were so intense, the way they were embroiled in each other's lives. And then he says obviously he had to break away, right? And I guess obviously once he began to realize that, oh, this relationship is not benefiting me. Actually, this relationship is actually not great for me. What I'm starting to see is that the pattern of relationship isn't quite right, because we're not mutually agreeing to certain things. In fact, when I read some of the things that Ayana even said, you know, she said, you know, you put the love and respect of others before your own needs, as I said before. You forget to take care of yourself. You know, people act out of resentment and rejection and abandonment. They're lonely, but they stay anyway. So this doesn't sound great. You know what I mean? That people feel inferior or inadequate, so they stay. People can feel criticized, unsupported. You know, there can be a difficulty to express thoughts and feelings. Difficulty knowing the beginning and the end. A lack of boundaries. Become meshed in each other's lives, which is called enmeshment. Taking over affairs and problems in an unhealthy way, which is what we do with codependence. Codependence will take over problems in an unhealthy way. So we see with Jada that she was a mom to this guy, bro. Like, it's unhealthy for her to take over. You know, to the point where he says he thanks Jada, almost the way he's speaking about how he thanks Jada for getting him out of this drug, you know, drug problem. This is what we're saying about taking an unhealthy
And I mean, we found all those different resources, you know, to help pull them through. And from there, you know, you and I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
Way of dealing with issues, right? That you become a savior.
Someone always needs to be right. See, in a relationship, each person is aware of his or her role in the problem. And their priority is their own personal healing so that the relationship can grow. But in an entanglement, there are power struggles all the time. Both people are vying for the title of victim or victor. And therefore, if you're the victim, somebody has to be the perpetrator. And if you are the victor, somebody's got to be your victim. That goes on all the time.
You can imagine there must be a victim and a victor. So like there must be someone who's winning and losing in an entanglement. That's what I'm saying to you. Listen, if Jada is saying this what she was in, you need to come back to the red table, baby. You need to come back to the red table and explain all of this, because bro, this is not a great relationship. It's a toxic one. And yet August is talking as if it was an amazing relationship. Are you sure it was an entanglement, darling? Are you sure it wasn't a relationship? You know what I'm saying? Because the entanglement don't sound sweet at all. Entanglement don't sound good at all. Relationship is a connection of mutual love and agreements to further loving agendas of safety, support, and fun. Whilst an entanglement reduces the safety and the support and the fun. And so I wanted to just be very transparent. It's like, how do we get Jada to talk about entanglement but then don't explain the behind it? So it sounded sweet, it sounded good to our ears, but actually there was a big ass danger in it, because what she was talking about is the fact that in that relationship there was a lack of needs being met. There was I would say abusive behavior emotionally, potentially. It was taken advantage of. There was a lack of transparency between the two. There was not open communication. And yet August sounds like he's gone and won the lottery when he dated Jada. But then it could be a case of him not knowing any better and being in a relationship with a 20-year-old woman, or 20 plus woman years older than him. How he may have seen things through rose-petaled glasses. And when they finally came off, he realized this is not where he's meant to be. Right? Because he broke it off. So had he not broken off, Jada wouldn't have done it. And what's interesting, the fact is, was Jada codependent within her relationship with Will? That's a question we have to ask. So yes, entanglement, guys. Entanglement is deeper than she made it out to be. Entanglement is not just, I got into a spot of bother. Entanglement is deep emotional, can be deeper than emotional and scarring, because what it means is to be like a relationship, but not actually being one that is necessarily full of loving agreements that we agree to. And so guys, I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I hope you liked the video. Man, we appreciate you, man. Stay locked, stay loaded. More love, man.